no computer is ever going to be able to make a emotional story better than a human, you know, or something that connects with someone.
Welcome back to season 3 of Rise, Grind, Repeat. To kick off episode 1, we talked to repeat guest Chris Weaver from MWI. We talk how to navigate marketing through COVID-19, which includes e-commerce, building your brand through storytelling, and even OTT. Let's dive right in. Chris, thanks for joining on another episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. It's great to have you back. I mean, you were one of our first guests over in our little tiny closet.
That's right. Before we got online, I was noticing the new digs. It's awesome. This is looking awesome, man. So
appreciate it. So, I mean, with everything going on, I mean, we kind of talked about COVID and just how things are changing. So, I mean, you work at another agency, and so would love to just kind of get a feel or get a sense of what you're kind of seeing, and would love just to talk about how maybe marketing is changing, how people are changing their overall strategy. And so, I guess just at a bird's eye view, I mean, what are some of the changes that you're seeing either with the clients or just in the industry altogether?
Right. So at MWI, we have a multitude of different clients, which is nice because, you know, when things like this happen, you know, we see it really affect hard some of our clients, but some of them actually have kind of seen the opposite effect, right? So before we were talking about e-commerce, with our e-com clients, we've seen the lowest CPMs we've seen in over a year. And in the last 2 months, we're seeing 3 times the return on ad spend, because people are at home. They're, you know, scrolling through their feeds and they're purchasing. They got that extra cheese from Uncle Sam, and they're using it.
Helicopter,
you know what I mean?
money.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, like a lot of e-com, we've actually seen positive turns. You know, we've got some international clients that have actually seen, you know, who are 3 to 4 months ahead of us, and they've kind of come out on the other end, you know, a different world, but, you know, they're seeing upticks in their conversions. So then we've seen the clients that have been directly affected you know, some of our local business clients and some of our travel related clients. And there's no doubt, like, they've pulled back on ad spend, and I would too, if you're in that position. But what we've kind of talked to them about is other ways to reinvest in marketing, other ways to make sure that when we do come out on the other side, they're ahead of the game. They're ready to go. One of the biggest things we've pushed is storytelling and being, you know, kind of really focusing on, you know, telling your brand story through an emotional level. And that's not investing in advertising. That's not investing in ads. That's investing in telling your story and how it helps people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, helping people is going to be more important to your customer base than a trick on an ad spend dollar. You know, and that's something that's going to come around on the back end and, you know, double, you know, what it was worth in before. So
yeah, no, it's an interesting debate. I mean, we've been doing a live thing recently and kind of go back and forth on that, where it's like, well, CPMs are lower. Maybe now's the time to, instead of having a ton of sales content, is do the brand building and push the paid media. But to your point, it's like, but if no one's really buying, maybe you invest more time into building the story, whether that's, and how are you guys doing? Is it through video or is it a multitude of different ways?
Definitely through video. But what you're saying there, I think that totally makes sense. If you think of a marketing funnel, and normally you want to put money into all different areas of the funnel, right? I think right now, what we're seeing is that bottom funnel still converting piece, you still want to put more money into it. And that money that you're putting in that middle area where it might be more intent, instead of that, maybe putting it more higher funnel where you're not expecting a sale right away. You're not expecting a sale in a month. You're really building your name in front of new people. And when we're talking about medium, it's video. It's the type of content that people engage with. It's something that gets to people right at the point. And like I said before, if you're going to get to someone's heart, you have to get through emotionally, and that's video.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, it's people can see the facial expressions, they can hear the tone. I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but I mean, a video is worth 1,000,000 words, and there's just And plus going away from the blog, it's just like how many times have you read a text and it just comes off a different way than it was probably intended. And so there's all that, where a video, you don't have that because you can hear the tone, you can hear the voice and all that stuff. And
right.
So, I mean, what are some of the video things that you guys are doing? Is it more like testimonials? Is it product videos, or talking about the brand?
Yeah, it's all different. So I think what we're doing right now, let's start on e-com, right? Because we talked about that earlier. What we're seeing is on that bottom funnel targeting, it's product, it's review, it's all the stuff that we've always learned about, right? That just jumps out to you. It's seeing that shoe. It's seeing that we've got a client of ours that does purses and baby bags. It's seeing that in not only a lifestyle, but also that social reinforcement of the reviews, and then being able to almost feel it, be able to see it. So I would say bottom funnel, it's the product 100%. The upper funnel stuff, I think what we're trying to do is much more lifestyle. It's, I'll give an example. We've got some clients based out in Hawaii, travel related clients, which is not the ideal client right now. But at the same time, what people are having is they're still have that feed and they still have that desire to go eventually. So we're still selling that dream, but it's more like trying to focus it on, we'll be here when you come back.
Yep.
Right. We're not going anywhere, right? We'll get through this together. And when you come back on the other side, we're ready for you. So messaging like that, that's much more emotional and lifestyle focused, is kind of what we're doing for the future. Yep. And then if that bottom funnel, it's products, it's reviews, and that stuff's working,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's love how you're doing it. Cause I mean, essentially there's a buying cycle or a buying journey, and it's like more people want to see kind of what it looks like on people, more of that lifestyle whenever they're just first being introduced to it. But once you can identify that someone is engaged with that product or whatever it may be, it's then producing that content that gets them to, all right, I think this would look awesome on me, and get to that purchasing. Also love what you guys are doing with the stuff in Hawaii, because it's now more than ever, people are wanting to go on like vacation. They're tired of being stuck at home. So if you can have a little bit of extra spending money to spend on distribution, showing people how awesome it is, it's going to increase that overall wanting to go there, especially now when it's cheaper to reach people. And then whenever all this passes, I mean, using the retargeting, building up those audiences where you can look back 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is. But by staying top of mind, once that time to travel comes back, you're going to have a flood of people that are wanting to go.
Right. Yeah. I think in the past, when you think of any type of ad unit, you want to talk about that conversion. What's that action step? What's that thing that you want your user to do? For that high funnel, we just want them to watch the video. And the way we're cutting up that audience is, watch the entire video, watch 75%, watch 25%. Right. So then, and then somebody who just saw 1 cent and went off and swiped away. Because if they've watched at least 25% to 50% of the video, that's a great audience. If they're 100%, maybe we do. Maybe they want to. Maybe they want to risk it. Maybe they're down for
cheap right now. I mean,
maybe they want that 14-day quarantine. But I mean, like 25, 50%. Yes, that is our person. That's what we're building that remarketing audience off in the future. So
no, I love it. So I mean, it's. Are you guys showing what the vacation would look like, what the locale looks like? I mean,
So right now it's more of like that dream scenario, that montage, that drone footage, that kind of lifestyle piece of it. And that's kind of like, because we're selling the dream. We're selling, we're not going anywhere. This is still going to be here for you. And then for somebody who's much more direct, so it's much more dollars and cents and, what kind of offers, we're giving out. So, but I mean, at the same time, like, we're definitely aware of the recession that is coming. So we think to ourselves, every dollar has to be counted. Like, there can't be anything wasted. If we are selling that high funnel to the future, we're showing exactly those numbers that this amount of people watch this video, and this is how many people we have to retarget a sale to in the future. Because we can't waste anything, and it's going to be harder for every agency. Which just means that you just have to be smarter. You know what I mean? Like, you can't waste anything.
And that's as bad as all this is. This is what I've kind of loved about it, is like things have been just so good for so long that people just got comfy and didn't want to innovate or do anything. I mean, we spent over a year on different things, just pitching stuff and just how to change their business model to get more digital. And then all of a sudden this thing happens, and then it's just like, you just see tons of innovation, the different way people are getting more online. I mean, there's a dance class here locally that been telling them, hey, you should do something like through Zoom, whatever it may be, but give lessons virtually. You can reach so many more people outside of Tempe. And then once this hit, it was like, hey, how do we do that? And I mean, just there's so many other stories. I mean, just big companies doing it. But that's the one thing I can appreciate about all this, is it forces people to get creative and think outside the box, which then brings more value to consumers, which is always good.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more. I think the other thing that we've been focusing on when it comes, I'm going to come back to e-commerce again, is other channels, right? We're seeing this spike in streaming TV, in YouTube, in video. Like, how can, as a digital agency that is running this piece of it that's working really well, how can we take that message and roll it up to where other people's eyeballs are on streaming TV? We're seeing much more purchases through marketplaces like Amazon. How can we use Amazon ads, which is a completely open, wild west for somebody who has a PPC background? Like, you can kill it with Amazon ads. How can we take your market and take what your return on Amazon and double, triple that? That's the other direction kind of we're focusing, is not only the type of creative, but also new channels that, as a digital agency might be a little bit scary, but is, like you said, is the innovation. That's where you have to go. You can't rest on your laurels on Facebook and Instagram forever.
Yeah, you just have to jump into it, look at the data, figure out how you can optimize and find that return. Are there any particular channels that you're seeing do better than others? We're testing like YouTube shopping and seeing some success there. Yeah. To your point, some Amazon.
We're seeing a lot of Facebook and Instagram. As I just, take a shot at them. We're seeing a lot of success on Facebook and Instagram.
But it's not going to be forever.
Yeah, we're seeing Amazon ads and marketplaces is doing really nice. We're seeing a lot of good stuff there. And then I would say the one that we haven't touched yet, but that I'm like itching to get to, is Nextdoor. So I don't know if you're familiar with that app.
Yeah, my wife made me get it, and it's
So they do have an advertising platform on it. Mm-hmm. They have an enterprise level, and they have a self-serve tool. To me, if you have a local-based client and you're running deals, or you have an enterprise client that you want to focus on not just zips, but actual like neighborhoods, and they have household income on those neighborhoods, it's an audience that's very aware of what's going on in their clients, what's going on in their neighborhood, and want to see what's going on. That's one that I think is going to be a new opportunity, especially for local or home services companies. That's a good one. That's one to keep an eye out for.
Interesting. So what does the overall model look like? Is it more like CPC, or what type of ad units? Can you do video?
Yeah, so there is a video. They've got a general feed, just like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or anything like that. You can put in video units. You can't put in just general display units. You can roll in with like specific deals that you have running for specific networks or specific neighborhoods. And then they've got other areas of the app, such as, their free and, cheap section, which is kind of like an offer up within the app. And that actually integrates with eBay.
Really?
Right. Yeah. So if you have a client that has marketplace on eBay, I don't think they can do it yet, but eventually that will be an interesting connection where you can hyper target products.
That's legit.
Yeah.
So basically you could list your product or service or whatever it is. I don't know about service, but basically you can list something on eBay and then serve an ad, and then they can purchase using eBay. So you don't necessarily need an e-com.
Right. So we've got
website.
a client of ours that is kind of in the security industry area. So it lends itself to this specifically. Right. But like you could do a service in the feed where you're more telling a story about it, or you could focus specifically on deals into that marketplace area of Nextdoor.
That is cool. What are CPMs looking like? Or have you guys tested
They're
them?
high.
Are they?
High. They're like LinkedIn high.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of why we haven't fully jumped in, but I think it's interesting because of just how localized it is that I
a brick and mortar, hitting every little neighborhood next to you. That would be huge, especially if you're brand new. Like you said, my wife gets on there all the time and it's always like what's going on in the neighborhoods and all that type of stuff. So it's people that are wanting to know what's going on around their house. Anything new, is always
that dance company of yours.
That would be huge.
That would be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen the ads. I've seen them recently, but I haven't looked into the actual ad platform or anything.
Yeah. So it's really built for brands right now. It's not agency friendly.
Gotcha. You have to create like a new account for each. Fun.
But of what I heard, by the time 2021 comes around, that'll be different.
Oh, I'm sure that they're gonna. Yeah. I'm sure they're gonna open it up. They probably make it that way so they can do more testing, figure out all the bugs, and then because they'll really be able to monetize once that opens up.
Right. Yeah, I think that's because we're talking about that earlier about like new channels, new opportunities. Like I really like that. I think Amazon ads, especially if you have a PPC or a programmatic like buying background, is like. It's crazy. Like the algorithms don't make sense. Like it's like when Bing, like when we first started and Bing just sucked and you're like, why is this not working? That's what it is. But like you can also see the opposite, and you can see something just go crazy for like nothing, for 5 cents, so that's
interesting.
Amazon ads is a big one.
Something that I've been seeing recently on Hulu, and I don't know if it's been outside of that, but they've been pushing more product where you'll have a commercial, and whatever the commercial is about, or it might be an article of clothing, they have a little thing that slides in that says learn more, and then it literally takes you to like a landing page on the screen.
Hulu has a self-serve tool now.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I haven't used it, but
yeah, I was on the list and we didn't make it, I guess. I don't know. We weren't big enough. No, we signed up for the list to like work through the self-serve tool. Just cause like not all of our clients have those kind of minimum budgets to get in. And it kind of happened like in March, and then they kind of just shut it down. So I don't know if they were bringing on everybody and they shut it down, or, but I think that like a Hulu video self-serve media tool, that'll be huge too. That'll be something that could, in theory, rival YouTube.
Oh yeah, I think so too. We saw an article the other day where there's this company that's trying to basically, even in TV shows and stuff like that, where you can open up their app and anything that it's showing, you can literally click on it and then it takes you to a website where you can purchase it. Trying to bring more direct response to TV, which I think that's where everyone's trying to go. It makes sense. It's usually the downfall of TV is it's great for branding, but seeing the ROI or the direct attribution there is always tough.
I think it'll happen, man, because that's the thing is people like you and me who are more like doing the media buying and media planning aspect of it. We're going to keep creating more and more video, but it's that video dollars, that money is going to be going to social. It's going to be going to YouTube. It's not going to be going to connected TV. And until those connected TV tools are easier for, agencies to use. So we don't have to go through, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 minimums,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you guys doing anything like with the Trade Desk or anything else doing connected TV?
No, we're talking to a different programmatic vendor to use their self-serve tool. Centro, who they've got a great tool. They're up there, highly rated within Forrester. And it's really cool how from a media planning and from like creating the video and like hosting it through connected TV. They've got some really good connections already. It's just making that make sense for our clients and for, because we're like you guys, we're more of a performance-based agency. We can do that high funnel stuff, but we do that high funnel stuff if it performs.
Yeah. I mean, the high funnel is only good if it later converts. It's the only reason why to do it. And if you can plan and buy properly, I mean, that's where, you can take
and that's where it's going to go, man. Like the branding stuff is I think that will take a big hit, so you need to be able to show that you can.
Yeah. No, someone to maybe check out is a company called Choosel. Okay. Have you ever heard of them? No. They actually tie into the Trade Desk's API, and it's basically a subscription. So you pay $100 a month, but there's no minimums or nothing. And they have, pretty much everything that the Trade Desk has.
Video assets.
Yeah. So, you could do, and what's interesting, I've talked to a couple different vendors, and like, they say that you don't have the ability to retarget connected TV video views where Choosel can. So it's like, and they have digital radio as well. So we're working on stuff for us, like to push OTT and just performance based, where we could literally prospect with it. What we want to do, because CPMs are still $40, $45, which compared to traditional is super cheap. Right. But we want to prospect using banner ads where the clicks are cheaper. And you can retarget people that visit the site and then serve them TV ads. Yeah. And so basically it's once they get to the site, then we're going to hit them on TV, radio. They have native ad functionality as well. So they're connected to Outbrain and Taboola, a couple other.
Well, that's totally, dude, that's awesome. I want to jump on that. I think what makes me think of is that so you and I both ran through bigger agencies. And what we noticed, especially I noticed, is how siloed it was. How the creative people were here, the media people were here, the digital people were here. And we there was some, but for the most part, everybody stayed and ran their own area. And that was so inefficient. It was terrible, 100%. Right? Yeah. So, but if you can take what you're talking about and roll it into a performance return on ad spend driven agency and people who really think that way, but also open up that branding side of it, it'll make such a huge difference,
100%. And that's where it's I still trying to figure it out, but would love to get towards performance based. There, like we've talked about so many times, there's so many different nuances that could cause you to lose revenue and all that stuff, where it's just maybe they can't produce anymore. So it kind of caps it out. But I think getting to a performance base, because then it's just it gets everyone thinking in that way. It's well, is there a different way that we can maybe approach it where we could do it more efficiently? I think it creates more of an overall conversation, which that's the whole reason why I started this. I just saw that there was a lack of that cohesiveness across the creative getting made, the media that's getting bought, the analytics. And I think with everything going on, I think we're going to get to where that's needed. I think a lot of these, there's a lot of agencies that say they aren't siloed, but they still are. I think will kind of be a thing of the past, because I think what's going to cause that is more people are going to shift from traditional to digital because you can track it. And then there's going to be more scrutiny on where is every dollar going? What's the return on everything? Exactly. Yeah. And I think that just with big businesses, there's been, I don't want to say old people, but there's been older people at the CMO or the executive level that maybe have just been afraid of digital or just, so I think there's more.
You've got your people. Yeah. Right. And what happens is if that's the world you've always lived in and everybody knows that, then you're kind of insulated to different ways of thinking. And it's also certain industries, it's more I was doing some work with DMOs and destination marketing organizations, right? Where it's you work with the the government body that handles the city. And there's huge budgets, but there's also a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of old way of thinking. And, a lot of people don't necessarily put digital to that. They maybe put a piece of it, but it's not as large of a piece as it should be. For something like that is way different than, say, e-commerce.
Yeah.
I've said that 4 times. Apparently that's what I'm really pushing today. But where people are thinking about that because they're looking at those numbers every day.
Mm-hmm. And I just think that with everything going on, balance sheets have taken a big hit, I think there's going to be more questions on, well, what are we getting for what you're doing? Exactly. It's going to bring uncomfortable conversations in executive boardrooms. And then from that, it's going to be like, well, why are we still spending money on traditional TV when we can't retarget them? We can't get attribution on how many sales are happening. I think it's just, there's going to be a huge shift over to digital. And I mean, I've been saying it for 2 years. I remember telling my dad, like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but we just need a big, like, just gut punch to the economy. And eventually, like, that's what's going to cause people to put more scrutiny on every dollar that's getting spent on the marketing side. And it's
the only way that those dollars will be spent, if they're not, is if they're emotional stories that connect with people. That's the one thing that, because that's the other part that's kind of always scary for us in the digital agency world, is that, especially on the media side, is that, okay, AI, right? AI is going to take our jobs. I can't press the button. The robot can do it better. I'm John Henry. It's never going to work, right? Like, that was always the scary part. But the thing is, like, no computer is ever going to be able to make a emotional story better than a human, you know, or something that connects with someone. So if I'm thinking future and where to put money and time and effort, it's, like you said, digital performance, and it's emotional stories through video.
Yeah, that's the only way.
That's the only two buttons.
Yeah, and even then, the emotional story isn't going to be like one story to reach many. It's going to be emotional stories that's more on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah. Because,
I mean, to your point, if there's more robots and all that doing the media buying, that creates efficiencies to where you can spend a bit more money on the production side of things. So you have a bit more budget to actually make 3 or 4 more videos, rather than, all right, how do we make this one vanilla video that's going to reach everyone? Right. I think there's been a creative is kind of not so much gone downhill, but I think there's been more focus on the media buying. But now that there's more technology and all that's making efficiencies in the media buying, I think there's going to be a shift over to the production side. And I think, everyone always wants a good story. And I think if you can figure out how to craft a great story about your brand and their values and make it to where it's reaching your prospective audience, I think that's where there's just going to be a ton of success seen.
Yeah, no, we're on the same page, man.
Yeah. When it comes to the international clients, they're obviously a couple months ahead of us with this whole coronavirus thing. Is there anything that you're seeing in terms of shifting and strategies, or is there anything that America can learn from?
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. So I'm going to pitch, or I'm going to throw a little bit of love towards the MWI.com blog. I got to interview our managing partner in the Hong Kong office, Jason Wong. And I talked to him about the exact same thing. Was like, okay, so, this is like looking into the future in like 3 or 4 months. Like, what's it like? Like, what do we got ourselves into? And, what he said is it's, and you've read it before, it's the new normal, right? It's this idea that people are already moving online, and it already kind of has happened in Asia. If you look at China, or if you've ever been to China, everything's run through QR codes and through WeChat, which is essentially, Venmo, PayPal, Facebook, TikTok, all rolled into one giant app. So yeah, exactly. But like, that's kind of, they're used to moving that direction. So if you're thinking about industries, anything healthcare moving to digital is on the fast track. And Asia was kind of already on that side. From what he's seen on the business part of it, it was rough for 2 months or so, where the whole company had to take pay cuts because they lost some big clients, big travel related clients. But what he's saying is, sticking with it and moving forward, they're starting to see the other side, and they're starting to see those budgets come back, and they're starting to see interest. And what they're seeing, a lot of people big companies interested in social media and engagement, and how can they tell their story, and how can they tell it better, and how can they tell it to different languages. That's a different challenge that they have in Hong Kong than what we have here, which is we always just think of US, maybe states or cities. But they're thinking of themselves countries and languages and language barriers and translations and localization, and making sure that, I can talk to this audience, like we're just talking about with videos being different for each segment. I can talk to this audience, but I don't sound like somebody who this language is, foreign to me. So that's a big piece, a challenge that they're doing on how to tell those stories for their brands. So
it's interesting. I mean, there's something, I think Gary Vee did it, I think a year ago or so, but basically what he was doing is he would do a speech, but then create a video and do subtitles in every single language and then push it out there. I don't know if that would be personable, but it is interesting how can you, especially as the world gets more connected, how can you create more content that reaches everyone rather than just the language that you're speaking in?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question.
Some innovation right there.
Yeah, man. Being able to create a video and put it through an app and have it bust out in different languages.
Yeah, to where it doesn't look dubbed like an old like an old movie.
You need that crazy software that brought Tupac back.
Right.
Where it's just like, we record this video and then we send it out to Hong Kong and it's two Asian guys talking with, backwards hats on.
Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting. I mean,
Work on that, brother.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of innovation there. I mean, have you seen recently, like Travis Scott, he did a concert on Fortnite and it literally broke records. How many? A couple million people, and it's like you can go, you're your avatar, and then you go and see where he's at. But he's this big dude in the map, and so it's like it'll be interesting to see how
he's doing a live show.
Yeah. So even if it's not a human persona actually talking, I mean, I'm sure there's ways where you can digitize who you are to where it then dubs to the language that you're kind of speaking. You just talk, and then there's translators that kind of go out. That would be interesting.
That would be. Well, but then look at this. This is all things that no one ever, a concert and a video game, right? Grocery shopping online. I would never, for any of this, I would never buy anything online. Yeah.
Really?
For when it comes to groceries. No, I had to I want to go out there and touch it and feel it. And my wife's done, she's done Instacart and she's done some of the other ones. And yeah, I mean, it's worked out.
I'm surprised grocery brands haven't started doing more of the curbside pickup and all that. I'm surprised there wasn't a huge push for it because it's if they can tell the demand on stuff that's coming in, I mean, they can tell people want to show up and get more people coming in because there's so many times where you go somewhere and it's just they're completely out where it's hey, if you just waited 2 more hours, we could have your whole thing done.
That's kind of the direction Amazon was going with their Whole Foods and Amazon Fresh and stuff. It's just this has kind of forced the entire industry to jump into it as well. But yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity as well for agencies is think of brands that, or maybe not brands, industries that have never done digital and that you as a consumer you would always do it in person. Okay, now that they have to do it in digital, what do they have to do? And how can you help them specifically? And how come what you do when we're talking about high funnel and low funnel and not the middle, how can you bring those pieces to that industry?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the healthcare industry, I mean, there's a huge increase in telehealth and it's just wait, I don't need to go in and just to have a conversation. It's, my wife had one of her appointments through Zoom.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see what that all does. Cause now it's if you have less the need for buildings, the commercial real estate industry is probably going to come crashing. Cause it's yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be less buildings because it's why can't we do virtual meetings and stuff like that? I mean, I think it'll come back more than what it is, but I think people are realizing that you can do a lot more digitally than having to be in person. Maybe we don't need to fly across the country to have a 3-hour meeting. Why not just do it on Zoom? Yeah. So what are some of the big things that you guys are focusing on? I know you mentioned the storytelling. I mean, is there anything else that's kind of high on your guys' radar in terms of either industries you're trying to help, what you guys are trying to do?
So I think the other thing that we as an agency are really focusing on is differentiating ourselves as an agency, as what we offer, what we're good at. And one of the things that we're really pivoting how we think is that we want to be an agency that provides hope, rather that be through our stories, rather that be through our clients, rather that be through our work and our campaigns. We want to be a company that specifically works with hope brands and helps companies create hope brands, whatever that is, however that means to you. How do you create hope between who you're actually dealing with? And there are simple ones, that might be, like fitness, like Orange Theory Fitness is one of our clients, being able to, help people create hope on transforming their body. There might be something that's even more noble, but then you can also think of campaigns and how you can create a campaign that can create hope. And if you just see with what commercials and what things you're seeing today, that's a message that a lot of people are speaking because that's what people want to hear. And that's something that I think if we, as in a company, we've thought to ourselves, that's something that makes us feel good, is to create hope. And it's something that will translate, at least I believe, where you're not only working with companies that want to be hope brands, but you're also explaining how you're different and how when that's, CFO is going through their budget line, what do these guys do? Oh, they've created this fantastic program for us, on how, they're helping speak directly to our customers, and creating hope with how our product helps them, our customers, and just being that, arm of the business, being really indispensable with that is something that we're thinking and how we're going to pivot and how we're going to, explain our message, and differentiate and stand out, because at this time, like you gotta be able to know who you are and be able to explain it properly.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, what it sounds like it kind of boils down to is just, instead of being an agency that says, yeah, we can buy media, yeah, we can help you shoot this video, it's really digging down and like, as a company, what's your why? What is the impact that you want to have on the world? And that right there always goes so far. I mean, that it's once you can identify that, then it's super easy to build videos and assets around the why, and people can connect with the why. It's like, it's finding that vision. And essentially that's, to your point, I think that's what agencies are going to need to help do, rather than just say, yeah, we can fulfill on what you guys are needing. It's like, how can we be a partner and ask some questions you guys might not know how to ask yourselves that help get that why. And then once we have that, it's like, how can we get that out into content? Where can we distribute it, build campaigns around it? That why is so big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the big thing. That's where we're moving. That's where I'm putting a lot of time and effort into. And it's looking internal. It's saying, okay, why are you exist? Why is this important? Why do you go into work every day? Yeah. What is that? How is that helping?
So are you guys setting up any processes or conversations to help get that? I mean, are you guys
tearing the whole thing down?
Love it.
Like the whole thing down. Our founder, Josh Steinley, who's kind of for the last couple of years been pretty out of the day to day. He's back involved. He's back energized. He's, because he loves this stuff. He wants to tear it all down and look at it from the soup to nuts, right? So that's the kind of process that we're looking at, and it's exciting. It's a good time to do it because, this is going to be a huge change from what everything looks like in the future.
Yeah. So. I mean, now more than ever, it's like most people have a little bit extra time, where before it was just so much going on. Now's the time to look in and ask yourself why. Why are you showing up every day? Why are you a company? Why, who are you trying to serve?
Yeah, no more excuses.
Exactly. So as we kind of wrap up, I mean, there was a lot that we kind of talked about. If there's anything that you can kind of just, I guess, give the world or give brands, like what are the things that they should maybe be focusing on right now? I mean, that you think is going to get people not only through this, but elevated higher than what they were before this whole COVID thing happened?
Right. I would say, look at your plan, look at it for what 2020 was. What was your 2020 plan? What was your ad spend? What was your numbers? Because obviously that's all out the door from your original planning, right? And I would say if you look at it, at your marketing, first off, I think it's pretty clear that neither of us believe that it's worthwhile cutting everything. I think that's pretty obvious. So take what you have, and if you have to cut out the middle, leave the bottom, and leave the very top. I think that would be the way that I would say as a brand. And I'm looking at my budget and saying this money is going to go to this. This money is going to go to this. Okay. Cut the middle, bottom, and top only. And the other thing I would say is look at other channels, look at other opportunities, because there is a lot of things, and the way people are going to be engaging with your brand is going to be different. Like this is going to be a shift, and how it's going to be is going to be different for every industry, but there's going to be new channels. There's going to be new opportunities. And if you can be a first mover as a brand, you're going to put yourself in a much better spot.
Yep. No, I love it. Get used to testing, get used to not winning 100% of the time, learn from those losses to then expand on the wins. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Well, speaking of MWI, I mean, where can people find you? Where can people find MWI?
Yeah. MWI.com. Simple. We're a full service digital agency here in Phoenix, as well as in Hong Kong, doing international, but also localized programs. I am the SVP of Growth Marketing, fancy title.
That sounds sweet.
It really just means I do whatever, my boss is telling me, like, come see you. Yeah. And you can find me LinkedIn, Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Cool. Well, Chris, appreciate it. And
thank you, buddy.
Look forward to seeing how both of us fare after this is all over. I think we both have big ambitions and see nothing but opportunity and helping brands grow. So that's always good.
And I feel like next time I come, I'm going to bring you guys a present for the wall.
Cool. We love presents.
We'll come something in.
We love presents.
Maybe a VHS.
That would be good. That would be good.
I got a box full, man.
And next time, let's make it a little bit sooner than what? A year and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
Cool. Appreciate it.
No problem.